Hello everyone, welcome back to Mega Goblin, and hello if this is your first time tuning in. Today we're going to look at one of the two core books of the Necromunda game. This was released alongside another book called the Rulebook, and the one we're going to look at today is called Gangs of the Underhive. Gangs of the Underhive book details all the basic info on 6 main gangs. That's Cawdor, Delaque, Escher, Goliath, Warlock and Van Saar. These are very basic rules. They have been expanded in the House of books, which I've looked at the first one here, which was House of Faith. In this book, it gives you half of the main rules of everything you need. So you do need the rulebook as well, which is sold separately, or you can buy the Necromunda box set. I've made my comments on the Necromunda box set, but to basically summing it up, it's not as good a deal as the previous ones. This book, The Gangs of the Underhive, has very basic information regarding the gangs. It gives you the basic layouts, the basic laws, basic costs, basic weapon lists, basic looks of weapons with pictures, the hangers-on, such as bounty hunters and hive scum, brutes and exotic beasts for the gangs. These again are expanded on in the House of books, which we'll look at a different time. Included in this book is the trading post, the weapons reference chart, which includes armor, bionics, equipment, weapons, accessories and status items, the traits of weapons, and your basic set of skills. Not your house specific skills, but your basic set of skills. This is just a very basic book, and it's half of the rules needed to play this game. Necromunda 2017 is both good and bad, and it has both good and bad things. My first video gained a lot of, some dislike, shall we say, for my opinions on that book, considering I felt that the gang was watered down and forced you into being redemptionist, basically. Now, whether you agree with my opinion on that or not, I've been playing Necromunda on and off since 1995, 1996, so I've been around the game and the various versions a while. I would say that this is a good second edition of it. The second edition, which was called Necromunda Underhive, it removes individual house weapon lists, and it removes sustained fire and hand flamer templates. It basically turns the gangs into a very uniform state, and it was quite, a lot of people didn't like it. It was made by Rick Priestley, Jervis Johnson, Andy Chambers and Chris Colston, and edited by Matt Keefe, the second edition. This edition is done by a team of people, although on the latest book, if we look at the Gangs of the Underhive book, there is no specific person named in writing it. There isn't. It just says that it just basically gives you a load of copyright information, so we don't know who the exact writer is. I do feel that Andy is involved somehow, again, which means that some of the original stuff is kept and some of the less good stuff is got away with. Necromunda 2017 is, in my opinion, a decent reboot. However, it doesn't excuse it from having issues, and I'm not going to say this is the greatest thing since first edition. It's not. There are some problems wrong with it. Those problems I'm going to come to when I see them. In this book, the main problem is it's half the rules. It's half a book, basically. There's 160 pages in this book, and although it's filled with great artwork and great background, and the rules are decent and concise, there's nothing wrong with this book except that it's half a rulebook. Now, when they released this was a year after they'd released like smaller splat books, and they piled all the splat books into 2 different books, this book and the rulebook, which annoyed a lot of people. Now, is it going to happen again with the house books? I highly think so. I think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to do these weird, like, mini books, and then they're going to collect them in a big book, and they're going to keep this cycle going. So that's my main gripe with 2017 is that they can't stay concise to having a single book and saying this is the book for this edition. These are the additional rules that we're going to publish. Say for example they do a new gang and they'll do that, and I don't know, not a year down the line, maybe 3 or 4 years down the line, publish a collected book. No, they won't do that. They have chopped up these books into sections. For example, you had the various gangs books, Gang War 1, 2, 3 and 4. Then you have the book of books, Book of Ruin, Book of Peril, Book of Judgment, and they each contain decent rules. They each contain a decent rule set. Now, some of the House of books don't, and there is a problem with a couple of things in the Book of books, which I'll come to when I look at them individually. But if we look at it, as I said, as we look at this is only half a book. This is my mind gripe with this book, and I've said it several times, but it needs to be repeated. Even if you would buy the House books now, right, you get a decent amount of information in those books, but only for a specific gang and only for using that gang. To use the trading post, you get their version or you get the outlaw version, but you'll still need the additional books in order to fill in the gaps. For example, if you wanted to you found, like, for example, you captured an enemy fighter and you wanted to use one of their stub cannons. Now, you would need to get the book. With that, you need to get House of Chains, basically, to use that weapon. Or you wanted to arm a hired scum or a bounty hunter with house-specific weapons, which you can do. You'd need those House of books. Or you'd need the Gangs of the Underhive book. However, the Gangs of the Underhive book is going to be largely superfluous once House of Shadows emerges. And once House of Shadows emerges, I can see the Gangs of the Underhive book being pulled. Now, again, for all these people who are just taking everything I'm saying as bad, I do like this setting. I do like the reboot 2017, but there are some problems with it. There are some problems with every rule set GW makes, basically, and there is a lot of people who will just accept those mistakes and, you know, fanboy over them. I'm not going to do that. If that means that I never get sponsored or I never get anything from that, fine, you know, I'd rather just say what I like and what I don't like. Okay, so that's the Gangs of the Underhive book. It is half a rule book, and if I want to score it compared to the other ones, well, before the House of books, I would give it about an 8. But as soon as the House of books emerged, this is becoming increasingly worthless. Once the House of Shadows drops, as I've said, that book will be useless. Okay, that's it, everybody. Thank you for everyone for watching. This is my second Necromunda video. Take care of yourselves, and bye bye.